Let's get rolling on this one. I'm so excited about this interview here. We're going to have a really good conversation with Chris Stevenson. He's one of my all-time favorite guests on this whole program. I mean, he just has the ability to really break things down to digestible portions. Um, and right now, he's the perfect guy for this conversation. We're going to be focusing a lot on mindset during this conversation because he's the master. He's running a club out in California. I don't know if you've heard of Be Military Fit in California. They say it's the greatest outdoor fitness solution that there is on the planet, and he's helping Bear Grylls roll that out into the United States. You've all heard about Bear Grylls, and you've seen his shows on TV where he takes a celebrity and he breaks them down mentally and physically, challenges them, pushes them to a level they didn't even know existed. And by the end of the show, we're all crying, watching the breakthroughs that they had and cheering them on. It's really, really a powerful show. Well, Bear has got a fitness center around the world, and Chris is bringing that to the United States right now. So he owns the Be Military Fit. And then he also is owner of a consulting firm, the Empower Group, which is a full service consulting firm. And he's got over 20 years of experience in the health and fitness world. So he's the type of guy that can help these fitness businesses really take off when he works with the owners. And then the other thing he's bringing to the table, he sits on the board of directors of IHRSA. He's steering one of the most important industries we've got on the planet right now is the fitness industry. You know, if you remember, health clubs and IHRSA, for those that don't know, is an international organization for health clubs, racquetball, sports centers. It's been around 30 to 40 years right now. Chris is on the board of directors there, and they took a big hit last year. IHRSA really took a belly shot because of all the states that weren't pro health club, pro gym, pro workout. They were shut down. Some governors were accusing the fitness centers as being the spread of COVID-19. Others were saying, you know what, that's not essential right now. They clumped it in with, bars sat above health clubs on that list. So IHRSA really had a lot of work to do, and they've done some tremendous jobs. We're going to dig into that. So we got one of the board of directors there. Chris also is a well-known speaker around the world, international speaker. He presents at all the IHRSA events, athletic business events, idea events. So you might have seen him at some of those. Anything that has to do with fitness or business, he's the guy. He also has a really unique ability to instantaneously connect people with the present, viable, applicable lectures that resonate with every single person in the audience. He can bring this down to a one-on-one conversation quickly to where you feel like it's just you and him sitting in a room. He has a superpower that I've seen in action because it worked on me. I mean, his mindset is his superpower. And he's going to talk to us how important that is. Because if you understand, fitness is a formula. It's exercise plus nutrition plus mindset. If you forget the mindset part and you work out real hard and you eat pretty good, and then you got a crappy mindset, you're going to end up fizzling out anyway. But if your mindset's really good, you could overcome some challenges, excuses, you can blow past the procrastination. So he's going to talk to us about how they all work together. And in the world he comes from, it's a mandatory feat to have your mindset be as important as everything else. So without any further ado, I can't wait to see where this goes. Let's watch this with Chris. Here we are. One of my favorite interviews so far is going to be with this Chris Stevenson. You just heard his introduction. I'm so excited to have you here, Chris.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate the invitation. It's such a good thing that you're doing, and I'm grateful to be a part of it.
What caught your attention? What was it about the I Choose Fitness that made you go, hey, this looks pretty nice?
Well, I mean, obviously it's such an important thing, and I've been in the industry for so long. I've dedicated my life to fitness and health and wellness. But I was thinking back to earlier in my career, one of my little taglines was fitness is a choice. And I used to use that. So the minute I saw this, I was like, yeah, that seems like something I probably should be involved with.
That's awesome. Now, coming out of this year, the last 15 months have been, eventful to say the least. But what impact do you think that's caused, just people in general, people everywhere?
I mean, when you look at all the data, and I don't have the specific numbers in front of me, but obviously there was a lot of weight gain. There were mental health issues, depression, obviously a lot of negativity, and it was pretty impactful. But we all know that, and we're aware, and we've all had our struggles. So I will flip something here and say, here's something good that's come out of it. With all of the chaos during this pandemic and all the different views, the left, the right, and all the disagreements and arguments, the one thing that I think everybody agreed on was exercise and nutrition is really important, because whether you believed in masks or not, or it was a scamdemic, it was a real pandemic, you know, no matter where you sat on there, it was undeniable that if you lead a healthy lifestyle, if you were to get COVID, you handled it much better. So I think that the one message that really resonated at the government level, at the local level, with people in general, is the fact that, wow, being healthy is really, really important. So I think that's the upside, is there's this better awareness of how important a healthy lifestyle is.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I know there was some confusion out there too. Like even some of the governors, they didn't want to put down working out, exercise, but they just, they kind of had, a lot of them had a negative slant on the fitness industry in general. Like, oh, no, they're not opening. We were below bars on the list of what's important to life, So
yeah, it's crazy. And I think that's one thing that we as an industry need to work on, and projects like what you're doing are going to be so impactful. Is I think we were sort of seen at that level as entertainment or fun or just something to do, not that we were essential services. And I think that our industry got a bad rap because what you didn't see in the media was all the great facilities that did the right things with social distancing and cleaning protocols and masks and all of that. The things that get picked up by the media are the ones that they find to be more entertaining, which is, the person who kicks down the door, you can't lock me down, the rebels, and people on top of each other. It looks like a Wild West show. That's what the media saw. And I think that was a small percentage of operators. Most did the right thing. And I think it was just a shame.
Right. No, I agree with that. We were meeting with the owners right from last February when word that it was coming that, we might be shut down for a couple of weeks, and we started having meetings every Monday. And we saw the same thing. These owners really went way above and beyond what they were asked. I know one of our owners out in California, he started bringing all his equipment to the junkyard. He said, look, I don't have time for selling my equipment, but I got to create social distancing. So he started removing truckloads and bringing it to the scrapyard, just to be above and beyond what the government wanted them to do. Now, coming out of that, though, people's health has suffered. They lost their routines. They lost their places to go to work out. I know you're from California, and that's just reopening. I'm from New Jersey, just getting back into full bore now. And that means people have had their health on pause for quite some time. Do you see this as a health scare right now, a health pandemic? Is this something that we really need to pay attention to?
Oh, absolutely. Again, we kind of opened and I said the upside was now people are more aware, but it absolutely is. And, it's not just the physical activity, right? Because, you can run outside, you can, use an app or use virtual tools for fitness, but it's that social aspect of fitness that keeps everybody going, that gyms provide. You go in there and you have this great experience. You're greeted by supportive staff that makes you feel good about coming in. You've got trainers and you've got instructors and people, conducting classes and sessions that keep you motivated and fired up. They didn't realize that it wasn't just about the actual doing a push-up or going for a jog. There's so much more that our industry provides, and it just wasn't seen, by the governors. What they figured out was exercise is essential, but not that gyms were essential, and that was a shame.
Right, and that's why it's so important. Like when we talk about I choose fitness, fitness is the combination of exercise, nutrition, and mindset. And we have you pegged as our mindset guru here, like we said in your introduction. You've got the ability to really focus on what's important for both as a gym owner. And this is why we're excited to have you on here. You own a gym. You're a consultant to other gyms and gym owners. You sit on the board of directors for IHRSA, which is kind of steering this entire industry through the worst storm it's ever, if this was a giant ship, you guys just came through Titanic level storm, right?
Yes, they did. IHRSA has been phenomenal through this whole pandemic. I'm so proud to be a part of that organization.
Yeah, and we've commented all along too. We've seen you guys do things that just so impressive. Even one of the, I guess it was Oregon, when they were trying to get some legislation through there, and they came with that app where it was just, click a couple of buttons, and you're now sending an email to that particular senator in a second. And we were watching it; it went over 5,000 pretty fast.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was an awesome campaign, and it's still going. So please go to the IHRSA website and get involved in the GYMS Act, support.
Yeah, and part of it really is just the education. If we could spread the word where, fitness is education, is exercise, nutrition, and mindset, well, some people go, wow, I see why it's not working. All I'm doing is working out. And then I go home and I eat like garbage. Right. And what are the benefits to a balanced program like that?
Well, when you look at the data and, part of my background is about 6 or 7 years. I worked for the California Health and Longevity Institute running executive wellness programs. So I did a big aspect of those programs. And I also got to work with some of the best people in the world as far as one of the world's best dietitians and mindset experts and mindfulness experts, stress, sleep experts, the works. So actually it was cool to be a part of that, because although I was delivering a certain area of expertise, I attended every other session and I was a sponge because it was such interesting information. But those three things are what it takes, to do what you need to your body to live a long, healthy life. And what we saw, especially back in those days, is 80% of chronic disease is lifestyle related. And that's pretty crazy. And it's funny when we would say that to an audience, a lot of the people took that negatively and said, no, it's just not true. They would deny it. And I said, don't look at it that way. Let it empower you. That means if you live the healthy lifestyle with the components that you're speaking about, Bob, the exercise, the nutrition, and the mindset, and the proper mindset, you get an 80% chance of success. So that should empower you to know that so much of this is under your control. But people will say, well, my dad had high cholesterol and he was overweight, so I am. I said, but you also share the same lifestyle more than likely. You ate at the same tables, you were sedentary together. So, yes, genetics plays a part of this, but you can control so much. And that 80-20 thing was so powerful to me. And I said, let that empower you. You're in control a lot of this if you focus on those three areas.
We've heard from a couple of medical doctors during this too, and this amazed me. Like it says, bad health can be prevented, right, through proper diet, good exercise, right mindset. But what I'm finding now is they're all saying it can be reversed. Like and think of how important that is for your local fitness center to, you go in there and you've had 10 medications prescribed to you by your medical doctor, and 3 months later you're down to 2 medications, no medications. Have you seen that in your world too? Yeah,
and what's really interesting, so here's a statistic. Sarcopenia, the loss of muscle tissue, as soon as you turn 40, you can lose up to 10% a year. However, if you resistance train, and by the way, we talk about training and exercise, the recommendations for resistance training, and by the way, resistance can be body weight, gravity, TRX, it can be dumbbell, whatever. As long as you're putting some sort of resistance against the muscles and the bones and the joints, you're doing resistance training. 2 days a week, hit every major muscle group. You can do that in 45 minutes, right? So that's all it takes to do this. But back to the muscle loss. So what they've seen is you can lose up to 10% if you're not doing some sort of resistance training after the age of 40. People that resistance train stop that loss, and in a lot of cases can still build muscle. So it's exactly what you said. You can stop some of these things from happening. Same thing with bone density, right? You can stop it, you can slow it, you can stop it, and oftentimes you can even improve it. So it's super powerful.
Now, why would you say that people are hesitant to start now? I know there's uncertainty left out there, still lingering, but you start hearing, like, why is it so hard to start?
So check this out. Like when you think about it like this, it's pretty crazy, right? If you had a room full of people, and I've done this, when I present, and said, raise your hand if you think taking care of your health is important. If exercise, nutrition, and mindset are important. Every single hand goes up. And then you say, how many of you do that on a regular basis? And you see most of the room's hands go down. So everyone knows it, yet they're not doing it, right? Same thing with IHRSA data. Only 20% of the population, and this number hasn't changed in 30 years, belongs to a health club. So again, that kind of back to your question, we all know it, right? There's not a person out there that says, nah, I don't think anyone should exercise. And I think you should eat really unhealthy and have a messed up mindset, right? So again, why are people not just doing it when they know it's so beneficial? Well, I think a couple of things. One, I think people are intimidated because that old view, like I got to go in there and lift heavy weights, and I got to go in there and it's kind of like I need to get fit before I go to the gym, right? That mentality. And that's not the case at all. So many clubs that I've owned and operated and worked with do these incredible onboarding programs. So members know how to use the facility and they feel comfortable. But, people walk into that. It's an intimidating environment oftentimes because we don't hold people's hands the way we should. So I think there's that intimidation. Then there's the confusion, right? Everybody's got a different diet and everybody's on a different program. And I would say every other commercial on TV is some product that swears, the shake weight. You just shake it 6 minutes a day and now you're this shredded, good looking, fitness model, or 6-minute abs, or just hop on your NordiTrack for, 10 minutes a day. So people are misled. And by the way, people get emotional about their health and fitness. So you're victims, right, to this marketing. We want it to work. We wish it were true. So even though if we took the time to step away and thought about it critically, we're like, there's no way this stuff works. These pills don't work. When you see the pill and the shadow, and then it shrinks over 3 weeks if you take this pill, which by the way, I always thought they said, take this pill and you're guaranteed to lose, 5 pounds a week. And I'm like, well, if you continue to take it, would you eventually disappear? That other thing works, right? But I think people are misled, and then they're intimidated by the gym experience because they don't fully understand it. They go in there and then they feel bad about themselves, like I should understand this, and I don't, right? So I think those are the two reasons. Really is just misfed information, and then they're intimidated because they don't really truly understand how to go about doing it correctly.
Would you say that's also the reason why people quit? Like the ones that do get started and all of a sudden 6 months later, they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah. And I think, we live in this world of instant gratification, right? Like I post something on Facebook, I get 100 likes. I want to order something on Amazon. It shows up, a drone drops it off in a half an hour, right? So we live in a world where we get results with most things we want to do immediately. I mean, it's kind of funny with my kids and Netflix, they'll binge watch something. I'm like, what I had to do when I was your age? Wait a week for the next episode, right? So we live in that world, and fitness is something that once you make the commitment, it does take a while to see results. And I think that's challenging for people, because it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks to really see some tangible changes. And one thing I always recommend to people in that regard is measure things that change immediately. So even if you create your own, 1 to 10 scale of energy, or how well you feel like you slept, or just how you feel in general, how is your mood? Those are things that, you exercise, the endorphins go out and they immediately happen. But body fat is important to track, and weight and those other factors and pictures and measurements, but those take time. So people get discouraged, or they approach it in a way where they go full bore and they haven't done anything for a long time. And they're like, wow, I'm sore and this hurts and I didn't get a result this week. I'm out. So I think those are a couple of the reasons.
Yeah, you were telling me a funny story about the early days of personal training where you care to repeat that here? Or
yeah, no. As a trainer, you want to be a hero. And when I was so motivated and fired up that I was going to change the world and help everybody when I first started. So somebody would come in, they're deconditioned, their diet's not great, mindset's not in the right place. And I'm like, I got you. I know you haven't done anything in 6 years, but I'm going to see you twice a day. We're going to go running intervals for 30 minutes and we're going to lift heavy weights and you're going to eat broccoli and chicken and that's it. And we're going to change all that. It's going to be awesome. And they quit every single time within like a couple of days because that experience was terrible.
Yeah.
So I learned the hard way early in my career that maybe that's not the best approach to getting people fit.
Yeah, and it is a society where we want everything yesterday. So, I mean, just switching gears over to nutrition, our food supply is like that too. Everything is quick and easy. When you go shopping, they have all the pre-made foods. And we heard a little trick about shopping is you shop the outside of the supermarket, the healthier foods out there. The inside of the supermarket is the stuff that's supposed to last forever,
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's not where the healthy food is.
Right.
But are there better ways to improve our nutrition? Better ways to get more nutrients out of the food we eat?
Well, I think one thing that you said, I think is really key. And you said, here's a simple tip, shop the outside of the market first, right? With nutrition, people tend, I think, to overthink it. Right. So they're like, I'm going to measure my macros and I'm going to do all this and all that. Okay. And that's fine if you want to do that. Right. But you can start to make some simple changes with your nutrition that have a massive impact. Right. So taking that shopping tip, don't buy, this is going to sound silly, but don't buy bad foods and have them in the house. I mean, that sounds like common sense or might sound kind of trivial, but it's not. If it's not there, when you have that urge to snack, when you probably don't need it, you can't do it because it's not there. So a lot of people rely on self-discipline and willpower to make all these things happen. But I've done a lot of studies, especially when I was in the executive wellness space, about, how we create and sustain change. And part of it is changing your environment. It's not just, okay, I can't have it. Change your environment, change your habits, change your patterns. But again, kind of more specific to your question, the first thing I always encourage people to do is add to your diet because cutting things is really hard. So if you want to improve your diet, okay, you should have, 10 servings of fruits and veggies a day. 3 to 4 should come from fruits. The others should come from veggies, right? So start with that, the old an apple a day. And once that apple a day becomes a habit, you've got your 1 serving. Now, okay, all right, every dinner I'll have some sort of vegetable. Now you got 2. So slowly adding things. And by the way, when you do that, you tend to be more full. So you're not going to be as quick to grab something that's not as nutritious, right? So I think steps like that, again, I think MyFitnessPal is an incredible tool. I think it teaches you, portion sizes. Sometimes it's that wow moment where you think something's healthy and then you look it up in MyFitnessPal and you're like, oh my God. I had that at a local restaurant where I'd always go in and get the salmon and veggies dish, and I never just really thought, and I'm in the industry and I didn't even think about it. And then one day I'm like, I wonder what that calorie wise is, based on the way they prep it. And it was like, that meal itself was like 1,400 calories. And for years I'm like, no, I'm doing good. I get the salmon and the veggies, right? So, I do think tools can be powerful. My Fitness Pal is a powerful tool. Journaling your food is powerful. Again, use that to get in the groove. It's a miserable life if you're going to log things for the rest of your life every single day, but as a tool for a certain amount of time to get you in the habit of that. And there's research that shows if you journal your food, you automatically eat a little bit better. So I don't know if that's because you feel guilty writing Doritos and donuts or whatever, or maybe it's just the mindset piece where you're like, okay, I'm focused on this now. But those are some things that go into that nutrition space. And again, just don't be misled, right? Like you were saying, labeling is terrible oftentimes. And, if you look at like the ingredients for Lunchables, which at a quick glance, you're like, oh, Lunchables, it's like a good little sandwich. I think one of the ingredients is processed cheese food.
Right.
Like what is processed cheese, right? Or Cocoa Puffs, a great source of calcium. You know what else is? Healthier foods, right? So don't be misled by the labels and the marketing of some of these products.
Yeah, that's really important too. I mean, if we go back into the days of the pandemic, there were studies that were showing that nobody that was hospitalized showed poor levels of vitamin D. And a lot of states, vitamin D isn't coming from the sun because we're inside the whole time in the East Coast. So you got to get your vitamin D from the food you eat. And yet when they're looking at all the people that had to be hospitalized, they're saying there's something going on here that no one's got a problem with vitamin D levels. Mm-hmm. So if you want to stay healthy, maybe just eat foods that increase your vitamin D levels, which is just part of nutrition,
Yep.
So, and that's what this is all about. It's just making these little incremental improvements that are going to lead to the exponential growth that we need for our own health and fitness. For
sure. And the thing with the nutrition too is it's something I used to do in the executive wellness space. I'd say, hey, is anybody in here a registered dietitian? Obviously no hands go up. Or a nutritionist, no hands go up. And I said, okay, I want a quiz and I'm going to prove to you that you know a lot about nutrition. And my slide would have a big greasy bacon cheeseburger and a grilled chicken breast. I say, hey, let's see if we can get this right. Which one's healthier? So ultimately, we know at the most basic level what the choices are we should make. It's just a matter of actually making them.
So looking at making those choices, I kind of would put that in the category of mindset. You really have to be aware first. You have to know, I want to do better. Like, I don't want perfection. Nobody wants, we think we want perfection, but you don't. It's just unattainable. So I just want to do better. So some of the steps that I have to take to do better are, changing what I eat, move more, eat better, and be more positive. Like that's a simple way of saying exercise more, nutrition. So just move more. I want to move more. And I know your gym is the outdoor gym. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we embarked on a new project with Be Military Fit. It's a brand from the UK and it's Bear Grylls. So, in the consulting space, we came across them and they said, hey, would you be interested in helping us bring this brand to the States? And especially during the pandemic, people realized, hey, I really like working out outdoors. So for us, we're like, we'd be happy to get involved with a project like that. So we just launched the first location here in Los Angeles and we'll be helping them launch locations throughout the States. So it's pretty exciting. And even though it's military fit, one of the keys to moving more is making it enjoyable.
Right.
It's got to be something you're willing to do. So we really focus hard in our programs to make sure that the workouts are always different. So you're never bored. We make sure to train, even though it's group formats, to different levels. So it doesn't matter if you haven't exercised in a while or you're kind of the intermediate or you're avid fitness pro. We give 3 options for all exercises. So it's inclusive, it's fun. We do all kinds of things in the brand to build community and have people work together so that they want to come back to see these other people as well. So I think creating something really fun for people is key to keeping them doing it.
Yeah, I love that. And I believe too many times owners will get all caught up in this is how it works and why it works. And they start laying out that whole, like, how does my engine work? Nobody's ever asked that before they start the car. I want to go from here to here. But if you make it fun, it's like, tell me what I got to do today. And then the military mindset is very focused, right? You're driven, you're focused, and those are things that just keep you moving forward. With all this uncertainty out there, how do we get people that are just, they're kind of sitting back on what's going on? I don't know, maybe I should wait a little longer. Like, how do we let them know now is the best time to start?
I think part of it is, and like I said, that was the silver lining is now the media is definitely saying, if you're healthy and you exercise and you eat right and your mind is right, you're more successful through this whole thing. So finally, the media has been a little bit helpful to us, but it's our job as fitness professionals to spread that message. And I think some of that comes through our marketing, where traditionally in the past, fitness marketing was the super ripped people, get ready for your bathing suit. I think we changed that marketing using realistic people and talking about goals like live longer and live longer with quality. Get rid of your back pain, feel better, more energy. So I think that wellness mindset, I think, is really important as opposed to what we've done traditionally. And I think if as an industry, we all market that way, that listen, this is not just about getting ripped. Matter of fact, that's just a small piece that only a few people really want. This is about you living better lives, right? Feeling better, being better for everybody that's important to you. So I think the marketing key is, or the marketing piece is really key. And then I think for people that are owners and operators and that sort of thing, it really is, it's no longer a price point sale. Like, hey, we're cheaper than the guys on the street, or we got newer stuff or harder classes. It's sitting somebody down as a sales rep going, what are you trying to do? And I think one thing that's interesting is people go into a gym and they go, how much is a membership? Because they don't know what to ask. Exactly. All the stuff that you're spreading, all the good word, they don't know to come in and say, how can I improve my mindset, move more, and eat better? Right. So I think we have to understand that as fitness professionals. And when somebody comes in and somebody says, how much is a membership? You're like, I'm happy to get you that information, but why are you really here? Right. What are you really looking to do? And when you find those real reasons, explain and then provide the tools. It's not just somebody signs up for your club. Okay, good luck. Here's a membership tag. I hope you come. It's checking in on people, following up, make sure you're doing onboarding sessions so they're familiar with the products, the classes and the equipment. They know how to do everything, making them feel really comfortable. So I think that's key for all the providers.
Yeah, and it really is. And it's key for the memberships, or for the members too, the people that are looking for membership, to know that I got to find one that fits me, and maybe you're a really active person and you just need a place where you got to have better equipment, and that membership tag is good for you. You show up, pick what you need, and you get on with your day. That's all we want to do with this program, is just get people moving more. Yeah. They'll find the club that fits their needs. And others need a lot of hand-holding. Others need programs. Others need a combination of, classes, programs, boot camps, and mix them all together throughout the year. So when you know what works for you, you just stick to it. And you've always talked about the Kaizen method. Describe that a little bit, how that comes into play here.
Yeah, so I was first introduced to Kaizen back in my executive wellness days from a guy named Dr. Robert Maurer, who literally wrote the book Kaizen. But it was about small steps. And again, a lot of times, especially if you're a type A type person, you don't really know small steps. If you're going to do something, you're going all in. So if you have an exercise and all of a sudden you decide for whatever reason you want to exercise, you're like, all right, I'll sign up for that marathon. And it just never works, right? There's a reason you haven't done it in 6 months or 6 years or whatever. So the art of small steps is key. And Dr. Maurer would always explain it like this. He said, if you want to floss your teeth more, floss one tooth. Just start with one tooth. And as silly as that sounds, there's no way you can fail at that. It doesn't matter if you're traveling. It doesn't matter, if your life gets crazy schedule. There's nothing that can stop you from flossing one tooth a day, right? And then after, that becomes a habit, which tipping point for habits are about 3 weeks. 60 days, a habit is really cemented. So I always tell people about a month and you're pretty good to go. Add a second tooth in a month, right? Add a third tooth. So now you're building habits that become just what you do, and they're very sustainable. The other thing is those small victories keep you motivated. So if I said, I'm going to floss every single tooth every single day, and then for whatever reason I blow it off, then I feel like a failure, right? I'm like, oh, I couldn't even do that. But those small steps really work. So with exercise, again, what I would recommend to people is if you haven't done anything in a long time, you hit the components that you were talking about. So you've got the move more, and you've got the nutrition piece and the mindset piece. What is one small thing that you just can't fail at, right? So if, let's say in the exercise piece, I'm just going to do 10 body weight squats every morning when I wake up, right? There's no reason. You could be anywhere. You don't need to choose. That's a start, and you start to feel successful. With nutrition, I'm going to add an apple to my diet every single day, or I'm going to start every day with a glass of water. There are little things that you can do that sometimes seem too small, but they add up. And then with your mindset, maybe in the morning, every morning you wake up, you're just going to say, I'm really happy to be alive, right? So if you think about that in the month-to-month thing, one small change in each category within 1 year, that's 36 positive changes that are now habits that you have in your life. So those add up. But again, it's about the small successes rather than, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. and then you miss one. You're like, shoot, I was supposed to go 5, and I feel bad, and I punish myself.
Right.
And that just never works. And I will tell you one thing, when you do, even with the Kaizen method, if you do fail, what we tend to do as human beings is punish ourselves, right? I mess up and I'm like, I'm such a loser. I can't believe I couldn't even do this. You got to forgive and just try not to make that mistake again. Be like, hey, yeah, I dropped the ball. Fresh start right now. Let's go. That has to be your mindset in order to be successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to use that too, Chris. We'll probably have that. We'll cut this out of this interview here and use it for our 5-day challenge. We're coming out after this I Choose Fitness is over, because it really is about that. If you do something every day, ever since this started, we have clubs that are rolling it out and talking to their members about it. And we tell them, ask them, what are you choosing fitness over? Like, what is it you're trying to break? And some people say, I'm choosing fitness over the snooze button. Because every morning I wake up and I hit the snooze. Now, if I just choose fitness over that, and I was like, I love that. So I put that in my own head that the first thing in the morning, first thought of my day every day since this started is I choose fitness. Mm-hmm. I spring up. I don't lay there and think about what's going to happen. I choose fitness. That means moving to me. That means getting right up, not procrastinating. And that one thing just starts the day out that way. And then other things, and the 5-day challenge will be like that too. What else can I do? I choose fitness when I go to the supermarket. I'm going to buy that apple you talked about earlier. And now I can report that in. I did that today. If you do that every day for a month, you got really good habits at the end of the month.
Yep. Exactly.
So you are now our marketing piece for the I Choose Fitness challenge. Well, that's awesome. And if I asked you that question, what would you say? I choose fitness over what? Why are you an active person?
So I didn't know the question was coming, so I had time to think about it. But here's what I would say. I choose, and it's going to sound like a cop-out answer, but I'll explain it. I choose fitness over everything. Now, the reason I say everything, and it sounds dramatic, and it might sound a little over the top, but what I mean is this. In order to be selfless, you have to be selfish. Meaning, we all want to be great parents, and we all want to be great at our jobs and be great colleagues and be great for the things and people that matter the most to us. If we don't take care of ourselves through nutrition, exercise, and our mindset, we can't be that person. Think about the last time you were on a flight and they talk about the oxygen mask, and they say, when an oxygen mask falls, what do they tell you? By the way, when I ask that question live, I'm like, what do they tell you? They're like, put it on your kids. I'm like, no. I appreciate how much you care about your kids, but they say, put it on first, because then you can effectively help your children. So you have to remember that we blow off fitness, right? I don't have time because I'm going to try to do this for my job, or I'm going to try to do this for my family. Even if it's just 30 minutes, even if it's 20 minutes, choose fitness. Make sure that there's at least 20 minutes happening, every single day, because the results of you addressing nutrition and exercise and your mindset make you so much better for everybody. Right? It's just that simple. When you take care of yourself, you are better at taking care of all the people and things that matter the most to you. So again, it's so easy to blow it off. I'll just skip the gym. I'll just skip my run. I'll skip my walk. I'll skip my, online on-demand training or whatever. Don't. Prioritize it, schedule it, make that your time, knowing full well that you're going to be better for everyone that matters for that. I will tell you really quickly, I was talking to a gentleman in executive wellness space. He had 3 small children. He's like, I can't. I just want to spend time with my kids. And I said, trust me, like if you get home from work late and you only got 2 hours with your kids, give them an hour and a half, but give that half an hour to yourself. And he's like, I can't. And I said, just try it. He came back to me and said, you know what's interesting? My kids, even though they were young, saw the difference. Now it was an hour and a half of quality time with them where I was happy and I felt better and we had fun, as opposed to the old time when it was 2 hours where I was cranky and irritated and my kids noticed. So you got to choose fitness over everything. You got to prioritize it because it makes you better for everything else.
Wow, that might be the best answer I've ever heard to that question thousands of times. Because you're right. If you don't take care of you, you're useless to everybody around you. And if you use your kids as the excuse, I got to spend time with my kids, then when you're with them, your energy level is low. You're not engaged with them. You're thinking about everything else. You're feeling guilty. But when you come back after a workout, you're at the prime. You're ready to roll. And wow, that's really, really powerful. I hope everybody paid attention to that.
And do some visualization too, and I've seen this with people that I've known. Some people have been so deconditioned. So if you haven't done anything in a long time, you forget what it feels like to feel great. And that's sort of the reward. Like if you're out of it for a couple months, you're like, man, I felt so great. 2 months ago, I don't anymore. But you remember, but if it's been a long time, sometimes you just forget what it feels like to be awesome. And you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Like just understand how great you can feel if you address those 3 areas.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And this is, this is all about personal choice because you have those decisions to make as the day is going on, right?
Mhm.
So if we have personal choice, do you ever see a time where the political decisions are going to push fitness to the side again, or you think that we learned from that mistake there?
I think that first of all, I hope not. But I think there is more of an awareness, and IHRSA and our industry as a whole really came together. It was a great time where massive competitors were together, brainstorming, working together. So it really is another upside of the pandemic. It brought our industry together, right? Competitors helping competitors. It was great. They've done a great job with state alliances, making local, state, and federal government much more aware. We're not done. And that's one thing I would address to all the operators here, and even fitness enthusiasts. If you want your clubs to stay in business and do well, write those letters to your congressman. Use the IHRSA resources. Understand that even if this piece seems like it's coming to an end, there's going to be other harmful legislation that affects clubs. It's just always going to be there. So support that. Keep the advocacy going. It's not over now. But I will say, like in California, as an example, while we were locked down as long as you guys, we were some of the most locked down places and mask mandates and all of that. The California Fitness Alliance did a very good job. And now with the governor is doing a fitness council. So that was a massive step, right? So I don't think it'll ever be like it was. I think there's much more, the government's much more aware of what we do. It's still a long road, but I think we're on the right track.
Well, I just heard the president yesterday said that they're going to start funding preventable diseases.
So
obesity, cholesterol, high blood pressure. They're going to start funding those. And where is this? Like, let's come up to the answer. How do you do that? What's going to work? What's going to get the obesity levels down? Awareness, move more, eat better, positive mindset. If they're funding that, then this industry is here to serve. This is what everybody should be paying attention to right now.
Yep, 100%.
We interviewed Ocean Robbins, and he talked about it, he put it in his book too. There's 700,000 deaths a year attributed to bad eating.
I have no doubt.
700,000 a year.
Yep.
So if that's not reversible, I don't know what is. If we start to focus on how critical this conversation can be to certain people, like they might be just waiting for the doctor to prescribe the next pill instead of saying, I can start undoing all these pills that I'm taking right now.
Yeah.
And you look at our seniors, you go to their medicine cabinet, it's just loaded with pills, and they don't even know what they are.
Yeah, and what you're saying and what your mission is with this is really important. Like what you just said is really important because we're in an era back to marketing where, remember in the old days where if you had something wrong with you, you would get a prescription, right? Now you have commercials encouraging you to go to your doctor and ask for this stuff.
Right.
Right? Like that's the best fix. No, move more, eat better, work on your mindset. It's that simple.
One of the interviews we did was with Dr. Michael Clapper, and he's what I would call a trainer to the trainers. 40 years in medicine. He now teaches the students coming out of med school. And the really interesting fact that they go to med school, so they're going to eight years of schooling after high school to become a doctor, right? You know how many hours of nutritional training is included in that 8 years?
I would guess next to nothing.
Almost nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And we said, why is that? Why are they getting no training? And he said, there's no questions on the test.
Right.
The schools are preparing you to pass the test.
Right.
So the starting point was to work together, and they gathered, hundreds of thousands of dollars to have the test recreated by experts that now include questions on nutrition.
That's phenomenal.
And that can start to undo some of this process that we're running into because the medical doctors don't know any better. They thought they were fixing that thing that you were in there for, but they should be treating you as a patient that's going to be with them for a really long time.
Right. It's interesting too, and there is a place for prescription medication, right? There was a woman that was a member of one of our clubs back in the day, and she was great, like almost perfect diet, worked out all the time, and then came in crying one day. So what's wrong? She's like, I had to go on medication they found slight osteoporosis. And I said, then that's okay. Right. You're not one of those people who is overprescribed, who doesn't do anything for their health, anything that we're talking about today, who just gets thrown on pills. I'm like, you actually need it. Right. So there are people that need it, but it's such a small percentage compared to, we'll just fix this with drugs. And that's just, I don't think that's the right approach when it, like you said, it's preventable with moving more, making better choices with food and having a positive mindset.
And sometimes it is choice. Like my brother was diagnosed with high blood pressure and they went right to here's the medications you need. Okay. And he might need them. That's okay. But it should be a choice. Okay. Let's start you with
Right.
move more, eat better, and then we'll reconvene in 30 days and see how that's working. If it's starting to work, then we know what we could do to keep it in line.
Yep.
They don't start like that. And that's some of the things that we're up against, which makes the fitness industry so important. When people realize, all I got to do is these little changes each and every day. At the end of the month, I'm on my way, you know?
Yeah. It's funny. I used to do a presentation called Fitness is Simple. It's just not easy. Because like you said, we've broken it. You and I have you've broken it down to move more, make better choices with food, work on your mindset. Those things are very simple. It's just not easy because of all the stuff we've talked about, the distractions, the misinformation, all of those things. So fitness really is simple. It's just not easy.
What do you think the world would look like if health and fitness was our priority now?
Oh, I mean, it'd be an incredible place, right? People will just be happier and healthier, longer lives, better at, everybody would be more productive. It would just be, just you saying that, like, kind of got me like, whoa, that would be a pretty incredible place.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we could do it. We realize how fast we can rally around certain conversations. And this is one that hasn't been had enough. And I think maybe that, you said it earlier too, Chris, this is something positive growing out of that pandemic we just came through. There's awareness that didn't exist before, and now we have a chance to start to make some changes over it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this program too. It's bringing people together at all walks of life. It doesn't matter, like you said early on when we first started talking, it doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, mask believer, non-mask believer, all of that is insignificant. If you just embrace this, that I'm going to do a better job each and every day, this thing is going to really take off.
Absolutely.
And what would you say to somebody? We're sitting here and there's people watching this that they're like, oh, that's good for you guys, or that's good for them. I'm not like that. I haven't done anything in years. I'm not in good enough shape to go down to the gym. I'm not ready. Someday I'll get good enough shape to start working out. And they're procrastinating. They've got their reasons why. What would you say to them to let them go, okay, I'm going to give this a try? How do you get them to change their mind?
So here's what I would do. I would say, and this is an exercise I've done again with groups and workshops and presentations. I would say, okay, what I want you to do is take some time and you Google all the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. What are the benefits of exercise? What are the benefits of eating right? And the benefits of a positive mindset? And I want you to create a list, right? So you create this list. Then I want you to make a second list. And the second list is going to be, what is the most important stuff in the world to you? Right? Is it your children? Is it your spouse, your partner, your work? I want you to make that small list of like the core 3 to 5 things that you live for, that you live or die for, that are the most important, right? And then what you're going to do is and this will help with the mindset piece, right? That's so important. That's the linchpin, right? If your mindset's right, then you're going to say, okay, if all these things, all these benefits were to occur, how would it affect these things that I say are the most important, precious things in my life? Right. So if I have more like benefits of exercise, if I feel better, I sleep better, I have more energy, I get sick less, I have no achy, back or neck or anything like that. All those benefits, right? I'm able to live longer and longer with quality. I prevent things like diabetes. There's a lot of connection to Alzheimer's and dementia from poor nutrition, right? They call that diabetes of the brain. Yeah. It's similar effects. So if all those things didn't happen, how would it affect these things that I'm living for? That helps you kind of find that reasoning. And right, once you have that strong reason, now you can justify, okay, it's worth dedicating these amounts of times to doing that. And then ultimately the final sort of piece of the mindset is you make sure your behaviors match your priorities. So it's not like, oh, I can't have that. It's, I could, but that doesn't match this priority that I have over here. Right. So when you hit that point where your behaviors match your priority, it becomes a positive choice that I choose this over this. I choose to go to the gym rather than sitting at home. I choose to, like you said, get up out of bed rather than sleeping a little bit more. Behaviors match your priority. That is the key to success. And that's a great exercise to figure out and fine tune those priorities, your true why.
I don't know why it is. Every time you talk, I find myself taking notes. I'm like, all right, slow down. Do that again. Well, we could hit rewind and watch this again. A wealth of information, though, Chris. Really, you have the ability to break this down to where not only is it digestible and understandable, it makes me go, I can do that. Like, I really can do that. And that's what we want here. We want people to realize, just make a couple of changes and your life will start to turn around and you're going to look back at it and go, wow, how far have I come?
Yeah.
And then you said something earlier about even when you're shopping. And I realized I didn't eat a chocolate chip cookie all month long. And there's one reason.
Because you didn't have it.
I don't buy them. I don't have them. I love chocolate chip cookies, but I don't have any. So yeah, that's profound. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you, even just to carve out this much for us is unbelievable. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you being on this call and doing this for everybody here. I'm sure you caught the attention. Some people want to pick your brains on whether it's consulting for their club or, maybe they want to find out more about what you're doing in IHRSA, how they can help out there. So what's the best way for this audience to reach out to you?
So just shoot me an email at Chris@Stevenson, Stevenson, empowers, EMPOWERS.com. That, you shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. You can also connect on all, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can connect on Instagram, but that's just like pictures of my kids playing sports. But feel free to, connect through any of those mediums. And as you said, Bob, it was funny this morning, we're going over my schedule with my wife because we got kids shuffling around and work and all that stuff. And I said, yeah, I got this interview. She goes, what is it? And I was like, oh, it's actually pretty cool. It's more about the fitness side and the mindset and being more active. And what I've done lately is a lot of industry stuff, more on the operations side, right? And then the advocacy side. And I had that moment where I was like, this is going to be awesome today, because not that I don't love that other stuff as well. I'm like, it's been a long time, since I've had the opportunity to discuss things like this that really affect every person. So if I do fitness operations, if you're in the fitness industry as an operator, that's helpful, right? But if you're just a gym goer, that might not be so helpful. But I was like, we're going to have a good interview, have fun, and hopefully help change some lives through this process. So I was like, it was that moment where I was like, wow, this is going to be really cool today. And it was. So appreciate you having me on.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And I know exactly what you're talking about. When we were doing those Monday meetings, we were meeting with all the owners from around the world. Anybody that wanted to joined. And we had up to 500 different club owners have joined us on those. But what was happening is we were preaching to the choir, you know? And when you're in the industry, a lot of times you're preaching to the choir. They hear it, yeah, okay. And then they go about their day. Here, you just talk to the audience. You just talk to the gym joiner, the person who's looking at making the change. And I can see the way you light up when you talk about it. You know this stuff works.
Yeah.
Again, Chris Stevenson, we really appreciate you being here on behalf of Alan Boucher and the rest of the team at I Choose Fitness. We can't thank you enough, and we'll put your link on the bottom. I'm sure people will be getting in touch with you as well.
Yeah, and like I said, one of the big things in your health and fitness journeys is support, right? Reach out for support. So if you have any questions, seriously, I'm very happy to help. It's it's such a great industry that we're in, and it's one of those few industries that truly just makes a positive difference. And I'm proud to be a part of it. But thank you for having me as a guest. I really had a great time. This was awesome.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. We'll talk again soon, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Bye-bye.